Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dolkun Isa. I'm the Uyghur. Despite living in the free world, I have felt imprisoned for much of my life. Despite being a citizen of Germany, a country which is a freedom, democracy, human rights, and the freedom of speech are meant to be governing principles, I have faced injustice. I have been detained and integrated around the world. I have continued with one object: representation for the people of Turkestan, my people who are being forced to renounce their national identity and their religious beliefs in act of genocide. How did I become #1 enemy of China? I still struggle with this question. I grew up in Turkestan. By the time I was born, this great land was occupied and the already Chinese province called Xinjiang Uyghurs Autonomous Region. In 1984, I enrolled at the Xinjiang University. I was 17. And at that time, I had not thought much about my identity. But when I read Chinese constitution and the autonomy law for the very first time, I remember thinking, wait a second, Uyghur people have rights? I started talking with other Uyghur students about what I have discovered. We established a Uyghur Students' Union in the university, and soon 1,000 students joined it. And we came up with an idea. What if, over the holiday, we travel across the homeland, teaching Uyghur people to read and then teaching them their rights? Most Uyghur were illiterate, and I wanted to help them wake up. So during the winter semesters, we dispersed across the region to teach classes. When we returned to the school, we completed a 25-page report to Ministry for Education about what we saw. For example, the students who went to the Gulja showed up to discover that Uyghur schools there had all been destroyed by massive snowstorm years ago. The CCP rebuilt Chinese school immediately after disaster, but 60,000 Uyghur and the Kazakh students had nowhere to go, so they stayed home learning nothing for a year. All university students visit the schools, interviewed teachers, took pictures, and even recorded video, which was hard to do back then. So we thought, what if we do a photo exhibition at the university to show everyone the difference between Chinese and Uyghur school? In June 1988, we organized Prodemocracy student demonstration, which was attended by around 5,000 students. As you can guess, the CCP didn't like that. They put me on house arrest on the campus. A few months later, expelled me from the university. So I moved to Beijing. I studied English and Turkish for 2 years and ran an Uyghur restaurant. The CCP got suspicious. They asked me, why do so many foreigners come to your restaurant to eat? Well, and I said, it is because Uyghur food is so delicious. They didn't agree. They accused me of spying. And pretty soon, I realized it was no longer safe for me to stay in China. By then, my wife was 3 months pregnant. She agreed that I had to leave. No, so I escaped to Turkey, and 6 months later, my daughter was born. In 1996, I moved to Germany. 2 years later, my wife left China and sought political asylum with me in Germany. But our daughter had to stay in homeland with her grandparents, my in-law, until the German government could help us get her out. The first time I saw her, she was 3.5 years old. She didn't even recognize my wife. She cried all day, every day. And since the CCP never allowed my in-laws to leave the country, my daughter never saw them again. In 1997, Chinese regime announced their arrested warrant against me and branded me a killer and a criminal. After September 11, they added another label, terrorist. Yes, oppressive regime can make you a criminal, even terrorist, over the night. The Interpol Red Notice was my death warrant. I was detained in Switzerland, in Geneva, Turkey, South Korea, Italy, United States, and other countries. I was a terrorist. But luckily, I was never deported to China, even though there was always a good chance. In 2013, I was set to testify at the UN Human Rights Council sections. China requested the name of the Uyghur and the other Chinese dissidents who were scheduled to speak. And despite this being openly forbidden by its own rules, the UN Human Rights Officer shared all information with Chinese authority. So they came after my family. In 2018, I learned my mother died in concentration camp at the age of 78. In 2020, I lost my father under unknown circumstances. In 2021, I learned that my younger brother was sentenced to life imprisonment, and my older brother a lengthy sentence on fabricated charges. I was angry, but never lost hope. I grieved, but I never give up. After Xi Jinping rise to power in 2013, the CCP changed its assimilation and discriminatory policy in Turkestan to genocidal policy. In 2015, the CCP passed counter-terrorism law legitimating the systematic targeting Uyghurs and the other Turkic people, eventually rounding up to 3 million Uyghurs and the other Turkic people and detaining them in concentration camps. Uyghur children have been separated from their parents. The people in the concentration camp are being forced to renounce their national identities, and they are being forced into hard labor and slavery. Since 2017, thousands of mosques have been demolished. Thousands of Quran burned. The CCP has publicly declared war on Islam, calling it an ideological virus that must be eradicated. Sadly, the Muslim world is silent. The world was silent during the World War II, when the Nazis killed 6 million Jewish. After the war, international community promised never again. 70 years later, the CCP is committing genocide against Uyghur, but the world is still silent. My Interpol Red Notice was finally removed on February 21, 2018. Before that, all doors were closed for me. No, I have become an activist. I have testified and spoken at parliaments of the countries that treat me like a criminal, including US Congress, European Parliament, United Nations, and several national parliaments worldwide. I have the honor of addressing you today. And in institution, I proudly serve as the president. The World Uyghur Congress has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 2023. I cannot tell you how my story ends, but I can tell you that the Chinese Communist Party is not only a threat to the Uyghur, but a plague against humanity, or democratic value, or human rights, and the world politics as we know it. As China's evil hands continue to reach further into global south and penetrate the West, my future remains uncertain. After listening to my story, you will understand that yours does too. Thank you.